The independent MHA for Mount Pearl-Southlands, Paul Lane, is on the line. How are you, Paul?
Darrell, I'm fantastic on this beautiful day, and why wouldn't you be, right?
Did you put on a jersey yesterday and play a bit of hockey at Mount Pearl or what?
I didn't play, but I was down to cheer on a couple of teams and to see what was on the go and talk to some of the people, and was a great, they had a fantastic crowd. Yesterday was a beautiful day. Of course, we had rain on Saturday, so that wasn't so good, but yesterday was beautiful. It seemed like everybody had a great time. There was a great crowd, and I think it's great that we can do events like that in the city and encourage people to get involved and encourage our youth to get involved. It's good exercise. It's good activity, and it's providing opportunities for our young people. And better to have them. Sometimes people complain a little bit about the inconvenience, about road closures and so on. But sometimes we have to do those things to provide opportunities for young people, and I'd rather have them involved with something like that than up to no good. So,
well,
the
one thing about Mount Pearl, well, there's many good things about Mount Pearl, but they definitely set the standard for what can be done in terms of how can we make it possible for our citizens to be healthier. And that's been sort of their mandate since day one, and there's a constant slew of examples, and that's one. Now, what's on your mind this morning, Paul?
I wanted to talk about the Muskrat Falls project, I guess, and the latest revelation. Certainly, I've had concerns now for many, many months. I've been writing the Auditor General, and I met with the Auditor General 2 or 3 times. I've written him a number of times. I've written the Premier a number of times, the Prime Minister, done interviews on this because I've had major concerns about how this project has totally come off the rails, totally gone out of control. And I say this as someone who admittedly at the time stood up in the House Assembly and I voted for the project. And I did so, based on the information that was provided to me. I did it in good faith. I have no business dealings whatsoever. I have to live here. I have to pay the electricity bills like everyone else. I have children here, hopefully one day grandchildren, lots of friends, neighbors, and family. So, I did so at the time based on, like I said, the information. I did so in good faith. But since that time, things have gone totally off the rails. We're now more than double what we were told it was going to be at the time. And of course, we've had all kinds of revelations come forward, whether it be the former chair of the Nalcor board upon leaving at the time when they all left en masse, talked about conflicts of interest that were occurring. Then we've had the anonymous engineer who has come out and talked about the fact, that the numbers that were used to achieve sanction were falsified. That's the allegation that's been made. We've had the interim EY report that's recently come out that was done by, I guess, this government. And in that interim report, they've basically said that the gist of it, what they've said is that, anyone in their right mind, basically, who knew what they were doing, who had any expertise whatsoever in this area, would have known that the numbers put forward were totally unrealistic. And now, of course, we had the Premier just the other day, and once we've been in this announcement where we found out now that the project is going to go up over another $1 billion more, again, on top of what we already done. That's just the capital, plus the operating cost is going to triple from what we were told. And now the Premier, and the timing is a little bit suspicious, but he claims that the day before this announcement, he receives a report from back in 2013, which was apparently hidden from everybody, that indicated that from SNC Leveland, that indicated all these risks were there, and they expected this to happen. So, with all this going on, we need a forensic audit, which I and others have been calling on for quite some time now, and for the Premier to come out and say that we're not going to, he's open to an audit, but we're not going to do it at this time because it's going to somehow slow down the construction at Muskrat Falls, which is absolutely ludicrous as far as I'm concerned. It holds no water.
Yep.
And we need to get on with it.
But so, this is what I was talking about at the beginning of the show this morning. Like, there's definitely a battle line drawn. Liberals are definitely framing this as inheriting a problem created by the Conservative government. And meanwhile, Paul Davis says, no, not at all. We've done everything above board, everything we can, and let's do the forensic edit or audit once and for all. The Liberals are also not saying forensic audit. They're calling it an audit. Now, I'm sure we can get an accountant on to while away the rest of the show to do this. But my question to you is, like, you were in the Liberal government. When you were there at the beginning, did you yourself hear any rumblings that this was not the rosy day, blue sky that had been planned?
No. The answer, quite frankly, is no. When I was a member of the PC government at the time, when this came forward, I knew what you knew. Any information that came out in the public, and you can remember the rate calculator. Remember Jerome Kennedy came out with the rate calculator and what your bills are going to be anyway and what it's going to be now. And, there was all this other information, the reports that came out and, that showed that we needed the power and that Muskrat was the low-cost option and so on. That information that was put out there, I had the same information as everybody else had, nothing more. So
what about Paul Davis, who was like, as far as I know, was actually on the head of the Public Accounts Committee for a portion of that period? Do you believe it's possible that he also did not know the real numbers?
Well, Public Accounts Committee, in terms of being on the Public Accounts Committee, like there's members from all parties on that, so that wouldn't really have anything to do with it. The only thing I could say is that as somebody who was just there as a backbencher, I only was given the information basically that everyone else was given, as were my other colleagues in the caucus. Now, whether members of Cabinet, whether it be all of Cabinet, or whether it be some members of what we'll call the inner Cabinet, whether they knew, I don't know. Whether people at Nalcor knew and didn't share that information with the Premier of the day and with the Cabinet of the day, which I find it really hard to believe that would be the case. But, whether that happened or not, I don't know. And that's why we need this audit. And when we talk about a forensic audit or even an inquiry for that matter, simply just do a numbers audit is not going to cut it. Because to do a numbers audit, all you're going to do is find out, well, what were the assumptions, what were the costs, but that doesn't tell us whether someone was incompetent or whether somebody was intentionally fudging numbers. So, it doesn't tell us who knew and who didn't know and who gave orders to do what or not do what. You know what I'm saying?
Quick question before I got to go to the break, and that is, in your opinion, like if right now the Nalcor and the Liberal government are blaming the inherited problems and the Conservative government are saying that we never did anything, where do you think the blame lies?
Well, again, I don't know, because I don't know who to believe. I mean, the biggest problem and what angers me, and I'm very angry about this whole situation, to be honest with you, is that I believed the people who, at the time were in charge of the project, who presented me with information, and I went by what I was given. Now, obviously, that has proven to be totally false.
Yep.
So I don't know who to believe, and that's why I believe we need an audit to be done, a forensic audit and possibly even an inquiry to find out who knew what, and was this a case of total incompetence by somebody or one or numerous individuals, or was this done, was this done intentionally? And if so, for what reason and who was involved and so on? That's what we need to know.
The answers will come. It's a question of when. Got to go to the break, Paul. Thanks for this. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Darrell. Always a pleasure. And again, I call on the Premier, do the right thing, get this audit done now for the people in Newfoundland and Labrador so we can find out what's going on. We're the ones paying the bills on this.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Paul.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All good. All good.